it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in your own. So subscribe and hit the bell icon now. So tonight I've got a very special episode for you. I'm going to be discussing how to start a conversation, continue a conversation, and end conversation on dating apps and dating websites. So if you're an asexual that is looking for a relationship of some sort, then you need to hear this information, because often starting a conversation is one of the worst things people fear when they're on dating websites and dating apps, and people just don't really have a clue how to best go about it. So I'm here to help you. And first of all, if you didn't know who I am, I'm Sandra Bellamy, author of this best-selling book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity, which is a great foundation if you're looking for more information about asexuality. So let's crack on with tonight's episode. So yes, dating when you're asexual can be an absolute friggin' nightmare. I am on dating sites myself, both asexual and non-asexual dating sites. Now, you might think to yourself, what is the point in an asexual person being on non-asexual specific dating sites and dating apps? And that would be a good point. But if you end up being on asexual dating apps and dating websites for a number of years, for example, and you're not having any luck on there, you're not finding the right person, then you have to expand what you're doing. Because if you keep doing the same things in life, you keep getting the same results over and over again. So we have to change what we're doing. So we have to expand our options, which means going on more dating sites, more dating apps, going and finding more dating groups on Facebook, for example, doing these types of things, but also opening opportunities up outside the online world. But tonight we're going to be talking specifically about online stuff, because we're talking about dating apps and dating websites. Apps are usually on the phone, but often they've got a website to go with it, but they might be phone only, or they are websites, right? So we want to look at basically online and mobile communication. So this is different to in person. Of course, I really do think you should join meetup groups and, be able to go to those types of things and maybe find something you have in common with someone to spark a conversation with, and then from there progress to maybe finding out if they're single and want a relationship. But if we just take the time today, whatever time it is there, it's nighttime when I'm recording this now, hence my lovely cute dressing gown, then I want you to pay attention to this or catch up with it later, right? So first of all, dating apps, dating websites. What should you do? Where should you go? Well, there are a number of dating websites and dating apps. If you don't know, there's asexual ones, for example, called asexuality.com, ace-book.net are two of the ones that I've been on absolutely ages. I don't really go on ace-book.net anymore, so it's a-book.net. That's a social networking site as well as an asexual dating site. Asexuality.com is just a dating website for asexuals, but they do have forums on there. Now, the forums, I believe, are free, and to create a profile is free. But if you want to message people, you have to pay nowadays on asexuality.com. When I joined, it was less than 5,000 people on there. So I get to message people for free still because I'm a long-standing member. But other than that, you have to pay for it now. It's only a minimal fee per year, which is pretty good for a dating site, right? And there's also a fairly new one called, I'm just typing it in to make sure I've got the right spelling. So it's ace/love. So it's ace, ACESPACE.love. And you can sign up there, and that's like the latest asexual dating site, if you like. And it looks like I've got 3 likes, which is really nice. But none of them I don't think are what I'm actually looking for. But there we go. One of them is from a nice guy on here, actually, who watches my channel regularly. So that's the latest one. So if you've not tried that yet, go and check out a space.love because there has a lot of genuine asexuals on there. There is an app called ASAP. It's a very old app and it can have a lot of spam on there and some fake accounts on there. And it used to be full of sugar mummies and sugar daddies, which clearly isn't meant to be on an asexual dating app, right? It's called ASAP, but they have got rid of some of the spam on there now. It's not as bad as it was. There are still some asexuals on it that use it because they kind of add an overall of it and overhaul. Is that the right word to use? And they brought it back, I think, a couple of years ago for people to use more. But I've still kept the app as it was from years ago. And I'm still on there, but there's not that many options. But aspace.love, the person who runs the dating sites actually spoke to me in message and they seem really like nice to talk to and accommodating. So I would go and try that out because it seems like a really nice site. There is another one called asexuals.net, which I believe is pay only now, but I don't know. I'm not on there anymore. I don't pay for it. So these are some of the sites that are around for asexuals. Now, obviously, wherever you go on social media, there are usually asexuals. So there's dating groups for asexuals on Facebook. And then wherever you go, you might find there's asexuals on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like this. That doesn't mean to say they're dating, though, as such. But Badoo.com is a dating app that does have a category for asexuals. Now, I'm on Badoo, and unfortunately, there's not that many asexuals on there. As you can imagine, it's quite difficult when it's predominantly heterosexuals on there, but they are bisexuals as well. And so, I think it's good they've got an asexual category, but you can't filter by asexuals. There's also Facebook dating that I'm on. And there's other sites like Plenty of Fish, Tinder, but these tend to be hookup sites a lot of the time. There's things like eHarmony if you want to pay for a dating site. Now, if I was going to pay for a dating site again, I would probably either go with Match.com or eHarmony. I was actually with eHarmony years ago on a 3-month subscription, but as soon as I said I do not want to have sex in my profile, then I didn't get any responses. So this was really, really sad. And so it is harder dating when you're asexual. But how do you start a conversation to even possibly, be in the inbox of someone to instigate a conversation? Well, first of all, I do believe if you're asexual, you should put it in your profile. Unfortunately, in my experience of online dating, the majority of guys, because I'm only interested in guys, do not actually read a bio. So just because you've put I'm asexual in my profile doesn't mean to say that person knows what asexuality means. You have to spell out briefly what that means to you. So if it's I'm asexual in sexual orientation, not heterosexual, I don't like sex if you don't like sex. Or I'm asexual in sexual orientation, I'm actually demisexual. And so I can't have sex with anyone unless I've got a deep emotional bond first, or I'm a great asexual and I don't like sex as much as the average person does or something, whatever you want to put. But you can't just say the word asexual because to the majority of the population that's not asexual, and especially if they're not LGBT plus people either, they're heterosexual. They don't know what the hell asexual means. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, which isn't a good sign for a start. But they think asexual means, that you're a sexual person, a really sexual person. So don't think just because you write asexual in your bio that people are going to understand what it means. A lot of them don't. And you have to spell it out if you don't want sex. Like I have to say, I don't want any type of sex, because when I say I don't want sex, they're usually like, if they do read my bio, which I first of all, if you're not sure if they read your bio, you should always say, have you read my bio? So that is kind of like one of the first things I say to a guy. If he has liked my picture, I will say, thanks so much for liking me, but did you read my bio? Thanks so much for liking me, but I'm not sure if you read my bio. That's one of the very first things I say. Why is this important? Because then it cuts out the people that just are no good for you. If they can't understand asexuality, they're not open to listening about asexuality. They don't care about it. They don't understand it. Or worse, they keep saying that's just a friend you want. Oh, sure, I can be your friend. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean? If a heterosexual guy says he just wants to be friends on a dating website, a dating app, it usually means he wants to be more than that. You know what I mean? And he'll keep you in an emotional friendship when really he expects more, wants more, really, or he's just got nothing else to do and bored with his life. And so he'll keep you as an online friend. You know, he'll just say that to any woman who turns him down, basically. So just be aware of these things, right? You don't have to stay in conversation with everyone. In fact, you should be looking at it like a sifting process, like a filtering process. So to get into conversation, first of all, let's talk about how to get into conversation. Like I said, one of the things I use a lot is, hi, really like, thanks for liking me. I'm not sure you read my bio. That gives them an opportunity to read it then if they haven't, and to respond to it. Or for them to say, yeah, I already read it. I know that you, in my case, don't like sex. And some of them will be like, oh, well, can you tell me a bit more about asexuality? I've not heard of it before. I don't really understand it. So if someone's asking like nice questions like that and they genuinely taking an interest in what you're saying, then this is a good sign. But it doesn't mean to say they still want to be in a relationship with an asexual person. They might just be being polite and curious, but this is still a good opportunity to practice your communication skills. I want you to think of dating sites and dating apps as a way of practicing your social skills online, practicing your communication skills as well. We need to get away from the fear of rejection on dating sites and dating apps and expect we are going to reject people and they're going to reject us. This is part of dating. This is a part of the online dating process. This is what you're signing up for. If you're signing up for a dating app or sign up for a dating website, this is what you have to expect. You are going to reject people and they're going to reject you. And this is not a bad thing. The more you do this, the less you'll fear it. So it'll become just natural to you and normal pretty much to you, right? You won't think much of it, because you are sifting out the people that you don't want in a relationship. If you want a relationship and you're monogamous, for example, you only want one person to be in a relationship with, you don't need 20 people to stay in your inbox. You don't even need 3 people to stay in your inbox, right? You find out what they're interested in. You talk to them first of all. It's like, I used to work in retail, so it's a bit like that, right? You introduce yourself, which is like basically the approach, right? So you approach the person in their inbox. You can ask them about their profile, and a good thing to do is to pick out something in their profile that you've got in common with that person or that you like about them. People love to talk about themselves, what they're interested in, and they love to talk about hobbies and interests that make them happy. And by taking an interest in those hobbies and interests they've put in their bio, if they put stuff like that in their bio, then you can actually bring out the best in that person. All right, we don't always want the best, do we? Want to see the worst at times, but we want to be generating a kind, open, honest conversation, if that's possible, because that person might not be kind, caring, and honest and open, right? But we want to be opening up the conversation to see what that person's like. So we need to be asking questions about stuff in their bio. Now, if they haven't really written much in their bio, I would say the majority of the time, don't bother, unless you just want to practice being in their inbox, because the people who've just written here to date, right? And they barely put anything about themselves. They're not looking for a serious relationship. So if you're looking for a serious relationship, which I think most asexuals would be, you don't really want to waste your time on casual relationships, which are usually hookups, then you don't really want to be going for the people who just say here to date and that's it, with no information about them. This person is secretive. This person could be married. This person could have kids. This person, could be in a relationship. The least they say about themselves, the worse it is for you as a person on a dating app or dating site to know what to say to approach them with, because they've given you no information about themselves. You can't have an open, honest relationship with someone who's not open and honest on their bio. It's already a red flag, right? If someone just puts, I'm here to date, and that's it, they don't even have their there's more information, like their, I don't know, like, for example, if I go on Badoo right now, right? I'm not right. If I'm looking at Badoo, I've actually liked some people back, 2 people back. Oh, I got a new message from one, but I'm not sure if I spoke to him before. So anyway, so Tommy sent me a message saying, hey, but it's probably an automated message, right? I'll respond to him in a minute. He's probably waiting for me to respond. Right. So anyway, so this is like got chats in here. And so when I click through people's profile, if I just go to encounters, I'm doing this like as I'm speaking to you. You can't actually see what I'm doing, but I'm just right. So if I'm going through encounters, right? So a person like this, right? Like this guy has put ready for a relationship, right? So this is a good start, ready for a relationship. But there is actually nothing in this profile that shows me he's ready for a relationship. So you have to be reading between the lines. Like, what does that person say they're looking for? And can they actually live up to that? Right? So before you even approach them, you've got to have a filtering system. Like, which people are you going to approach? Why are you going to approach those specific people? What is it about their profile you actually like? The least amount of information they write, the least you want to be contacting them. In fact, you want to be bypassing a lot of them. So this guy says ready for a relationship. Now, if someone is ready for a relationship, usually if they're genuine and a good person, they would be writing stuff in their bio, a bit about themselves, right? This guy's put 6'1" douchebag, single, straight, non-smoker, socially English, 6'1". That tells me absolutely F all about him. He's a plasterer in Plymouth Southwest. I mean, why would I want to be with a douchebag? Do you see what I mean? So you have to look at what they've put in their bio. If they can't even be bothered to put much in their bio, the least amount they've got in their bio, the least amount you want to be contacting. If they just got dating, they're straight and dating, you don't really want to bother with them. I mean, sure, if you're not getting many likes, you might want to talk to them, but probably to practice your opening skills, your approaching skills, but they're usually going to be a rubbish person to be in a relationship with because they're not serious. The least amount of information you've got to go on, the harder it makes for you to approach someone. So the things you can approach about is, like I said, in their bio, pick things out you like in their bio. So if you're really into star signs, you could say, hey, I see we're the same star sign, or we're compatible star signs. You could say something about their bio. If they are into IT, for example, you could say, hey, I'm into IT too. Like, what coding do you like? What type of, if they're into gaming, like what type of games do you like? I'm into this type of gaming. And you can also go by their profile pictures and say what you like, pick an attribute out of them. Obviously, this is more superficial because it's looks, but you could say, I think you've got a gorgeous smile. I love the way you look in that photograph. Like, where is that photograph taken? It's a great question. So with the approach, you want to be using the what, where, when, how, why situation, particularly like what's happening in that photograph, like what type of relationship are you looking for? What's your ideal date? What does your ideal relationship look like? Why are you on this dating site? What brought you to this dating site? Going back to the what again? Like, how long have you been on this dating site? That's another question you can ask. How many dates have you had? What do you think of this website? What do you think of this dating app? Like, you can ask them what their favorite music is, what their favorite movies are. Like, if they like going traveling, what's the best country they've ever traveled to? If they work, say, what type of things do you love about your work the most? Ask some questions like, what difficulties have you experienced with online datings, to get an idea of, what problems they have, to see if they've got issues, as in red flags and stuff like that. You can be asking all these types of things. Obviously, with asexuals, they can be more into hobbies and interests. So you want, if it was an asexual dating site, you'd probably want to pick a hobby out and say, hey, I love playing that game. Or, hey, I saw in your profile you've gone like backpacking around Australia. I love that. I'd love to go there, this type of thing. So you want to be picking something out in their profile, whether it's part of their photographs, bio, interests, hobbies. You want to be picking things out them that you can ask some questions about, like what questions, why questions, like, oh, tell me, like, how did you take that amazing photograph? Like, maybe they got a photograph of a lion. Like, how did you get a photograph of a lion so close up? Like, I'm impressed, Um, like, or where was that photograph taken? Like, how often do you take photographs? Like, you seem to really love them. Like, these type of things. You can ask about a jacket they're wearing. You can do anything, right? You can ask, like, what's their, if they could go anywhere in the world for just one day and money was no object, like, where would they go? Say they were in a time machine. You can ask them anything you want, but you want to be asking about deal breakers very, very early on. So you could have an icebreaker, which is, like, hey, I see that, that you've been to Disney. I sometimes say this, hey, I see you've been to Disney. Is that the one in Disneyland Paris, or is that like Florida? Or I see you're in Disney in that photograph. I love Disney too. Like, I'm a Disney girl. Like, what's your favorite Disney character? If it's Marvel, they say like Marvel. Say, oh, great, I see you like Marvel. I love Marvel films too. Like, what's your favorite Marvel film? This is how you get into conversation and start a conversation. So you start with their hobbies, their interests, their looks, their bio, things about them as a person, and then you can expand on that. If they haven't given you much to go on their bio, then I wouldn't bother a lot of the time. But if you want to practice your communication skills, you want to practice talking to different people with not much information, it can be a good exercise still to do, because it's like you're pushing through your fears and of the unknown, if you like. But a lot of those type of guys won't be any good. Like, you might want to say, like, there's not much in your dating profile. Like, are you married? Or I'm assuming, as you're just into dating, but you've got nothing in your profile, that you're either married or already in a relationship. Is that true? This type of thing. Because a lot of them, if they've not got much in their bio, then you don't want that. There's some stupid things that people say in the bio. They're like, oh, I'm a dickhead. If you got any self-respect, why would you want to be with a dickhead? They say this about themselves. Some guys are like, I'm an idiot. Like I said, the guy I just read out from Badu, he's like a douchebag. Why would you want to be with a douchebag? If you care about yourself and you value your self-worth, why would you want to go after someone like that? There's guys saying, oh, I'm an idiot. There's some guys who blatantly lie. If you've got any liars, do not even approach them. To stop conversation, you can delete them or block them on the app, right? I mean, if you're just going and skipping through them, like encounters, for example, on Badoo, you don't need to do anything. But if they come in your inbox and you don't want to speak to them, you don't have to. You can just skip their profile in Badoo, for example, or you can just block them, right? I had a disgusting guy on Facebook dating. I didn't even see his message till I was partway through about to message him back. And I saw he liked my Instagram photograph, and his profile on Facebook dating is very innocent. It was like he went, he's like he was going out to like Comic Con or something, and he was into Marvel, and he was all into superhero, and it was all kind of sweet innocent stuff, like movie stuff. And then I saw, I did a shorts video on this, and it was disgusting what he said in a foreign language to me. And it's basically he wants to sow his sperm in me. It was sick, absolutely sick, right? So be very, very careful. People abroad, I wouldn't recommend getting involved. Unless, if it's an asexual person, you might want to think about it. But if it's a heterosexual person, a lot of them will be off having affairs and sex with other people, to be perfectly honest with you. And if they want to keep you, like you're just their emotional crutch while they're off with other people, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to be with a sexual person, I think really it should be in the same country as you. But in any case, even with asexuals, like, it's unless one person is prepared to move and they actually have the means to do this, whatever sexuality they are, right? If they don't have the means to actually go ahead and do it, you're just gonna waste your life away. You're gonna waste 4 years or whatever hoping they'll come over to the country, and they can't. A lot of people, for example, who are foreign can't get into the UK. There's some people that can, but usually the people that come after me, guys that come after me, the majority of them can't get into the UK. And they think they're going to sponge off me to get in here. I don't have the money to pay for someone to come to the UK. And why would I do that when there's guys who can come off their own bat? I would not do that. Do not get conned in love. Do not spend money out to get someone into your country. Skip their profile. Don't let them make you fall in love with them by keeping emotional connection. If someone's abroad, I'm saying I have Indian guys in my inbox. I say I'm not looking for someone in India. I'm looking for an Indian guy in the UK who can be here of its own accord. That's it. There's actually an Indian guy that I didn't believe was going to come to the UK. There's actually now here in London, which did shock me. Because I get Indian guys a lot of the time going, oh, I'd love to date you. I'm like, well, if you ever come to the UK, then you can talk about it with me. So he did message me, but he's no good. He's got traits that aren't good. There's narcissistic traits with him. So I've told him, no, I won't meet up with him. He's always said, I want to date you. But, again, the way he speaks as though he's entitled to date me. And it's like, no, he's not very empathetic. He's kind of like, well, what can I say? Some of the narcissistic traits, where they're very egotistical, unempathetic, this type of thing, red flags, I don't want to be around that type of guy who's not sensitive, kind, caring, So I told him no. But I'm sure he'll be with another woman. He's not into a relationship. He just wanted to date me. I'm not into that, I deserve better than that. I don't want to get involved with a guy like that. So I'm still currently friends with him on Facebook. I've been friends with him for a while. He follows me quite a bit, but yeah, so I was actually shocked that he came over because a lot of guys are getting my inbox. I'm like, well, discuss it with me when you're actually in the UK of your own accord. Because a lot of the time they're like, oh, well, you can help me. I was like, no. If they start asking me to help them get into the UK, then I block them usually. Either saying a strict no, and that's the end of the conversation, or I block them. But if it's on a dating app, or this is on Facebook, but if it's on a dating app or website, then I would block them. Don't get involved with someone who wants you to get them into your country. They don't like or love you. They just want to use you for a visa, and to come to the country. Some of them want to use you for work. I got a guy on Facebook dating the other day, and I'm like, well, have you actually read my bio? And he's like, oh yeah. I said, I'm asexual, so we wouldn't be suitable if you want sex. And then he was like, oh yeah, but I'm interested in you writing. Have you got a job for me? And I said, I do actually, self-publishing book consultations, which is £80 an hour. So if you want to buy that, that's fine. He's like, oh my God, I don't know what he thinks. He thinks I'm going to give him freebies. I work on my own and I publish my own books under my own book publishing imprint. He's like, what? Because he's like, what type of books do you publish? I'm like, asexual. I told him I'm asexual and that I do, my basic life is asexuality. And then he's asking me what type of books I write. Crazy guy. So he's just after using me. I don't let any guys use me. Do not let people use you, right? If someone's trying to get you abroad, trying to ask you for a job, especially if you're self-employed, they think they can get your job or whatever, or do work for you to get paid by you. That's not dating. You're not a dating website to hand out freebies to people or hand out money to people. If anyone asks you for money, nude photographs, just block them. You do not want this type of people in your life. No nude photographs, say no. Ask you for money, no. Ask you for a mobile phone or any items, none. Nothing. You do not give things to strangers. Right? People can get their own shit in their life. They manage perfectly well before they met you. They can manage perfectly well after they've met you. Don't let them give you some stupid sob story about, oh, but I need this and I need that, right? I see actually on dating apps that even men say on there, if you're going to approach me for money, then I'm not interested. If you're just going to ask for nudes, I'm not interested. If you just want a one-night stand, I'm not interested. So there are some good guys out there that are not interested in women. They just want to get them onto their OnlyFans page or porn site, whatever type it is, usually OnlyFans, So because there's a lot of people who, particularly women, who go, so if you're a guy into women watching this, there's a lot of women who go on dating apps and dating websites and in Facebook dating groups to lure men to their OnlyFans page. right? So what they do is they get you out of the page, out of the app, onto their site so that you pay for a subscription to see them naked, right? I know this because I do research and I follow the chain of research. And I'm like, oh, this is how they make their money. I've actually had a YouTube ad come up on my own YouTube saying, "Oh, we can teach you how to create an OnlyFans account and page and how to get people from social media into your OnlyFans account." I'm like, "Oh, this will be just interesting to see how they lure people in." So what they do is they get women to post obviously semi-naked pictures on their Facebook profile, whatever. They say a bunch of stuff and they're like, I'm really lonely. I need someone to talk to. So then the guy will go, "Oh, right, you can talk to me or I'll talk to you." They get them in their inbox and they'll be like, "Oh, I have something special for you, but it's on this website. Click through here. And then, oh, if you want to see my pics, just pay X amount per month." And this is how girls, women, certain women just break it in because it's to get you over to their OnlyFans. And if you're stupid enough to do that, then you're stupid enough to do that. That's what I'm saying, right? There's so many guys that are so gullible on Facebook. I'm like, you cannot be serious. You don't really think this is a real woman who wants to actually have you in a relationship, that's actually interested in you. They're interested in your money and how much money they can make out of you because you are so into sex. Obviously, majority of asexuals won't be hooked like that. But there are still some asexuals that I come across, guys, that have semi-naked women friends on their Facebook and that have these type of women pages that they like. And I'm like, are you serious? These are fake women. Or they're real women as such, but they're doing fake stuff. They're just getting you into their OnlyFans page. Surely you cannot be that dense as to think that they're interested in you. All they're interested in you is hooking you to watch their porn so they can make shed loads of money out of it. Do you know what I mean? So be very wary of these people. There's like someone on, is it Badu, called Mistress. It's a woman. It's like, I'm into guys, not women, but clearly it's a mistress woman that, God knows what actually happens with that profile, but they keep coming up in encounters and I'm like, I'm not interested. Right. So make sure that you only approach people that you have some remote interest in. So before you approach someone, make sure you look at their bio. If they've got anything in their bio that you don't like, then you pass on them. You either, depending on what app you're on, you can either block them, delete them, pass on them, swipe left. And swiping right is usually means you like them. Swiping left means you don't and not interested in them, right? But I sometimes get the same guys coming back time and time again. It drives me nuts. Sometimes it's just because they can't get anyone, to be perfectly frank with you. So, if you don't want kids and they've want kids in the future or want kids soon, then what do? You skip over them. They come in your inbox, you tell them, sorry, we're not suitable. We both want different things. And if they try to say to you, which some try to say to me, if I say, we both want different things. Like, how so? Well, you want kids. Oh, yeah, but I don't want them for 5 or 6 years. That's no use to me. I'm looking for a serious long-term committed relationship, right? They're just looking for a short-term relationship where they can go off with someone else years later and have kids 5 or 6 years later. They're only looking for a hookup or something. So don't let them then lie to you. If they've got things in their profile that they then change what they say, I say, oh, I see you want kids in the future. Oh, but I don't want them now. But some of them go, I don't want kids. Some of them deny it. One guy the other day, he was denying things and he was changing all his profile. As I was saying, profile, but I say, I said, we're not suitable. And he's like, oh, come on, why not? And I said, because you want kids and I don't. Oh, I don't want kids. So he removed that. And then I said, and I don't like traveling and you like traveling. I don't like traveling. Remove the travel. It was just going through things, removing them. I just blocked him in the end. I didn't even carry on the conversation, just block people like that. They are liars. A person who tells you exactly what they think you want to hear is a liar. They'll usually cheat on you. They're two-faced, deceiver. You do not want to be having that person in your life, right? You want open, honest communication at all times. You want them to tell you some stuff, that you don't want to hear necessarily, you know? Because if they're only telling you good stuff and everything's fine and dandy, then you know that it's not actually true usually. No one's perfect. Some people's lives are more better than others, if you like, in terms of what's going on in their life at that time, but no one's perfect. They've all got shit to deal with. They've all got baggage. They've all got luggage. Everyone has, right? And if if that person's painting an idealistic picture, it's just not true usually, right? So before you approach, I want you to take time to look through their bio, see if you have things in common. If they've got deal breakers, don't do it. I can't be with a smoker. If anyone says they're smoking in their profile, it's a no for me. They might say, oh, but I only vape. Vaping is smoking to me. I'm sensitive to vaping as well as cigarette smoke. I cannot be with anyone like that. Some of them will say non-smoker, and they got profile pictures with cigarettes in their hands, a cigarette or whatever in their hand. You know what I mean? It's quite common, more than you think. And again, you don't want to be approaching liars. You want no lies whatsoever. One little lie, and they can lie to you about anything. You know, if you're looking for a serious committed relationship, you need to be making sure that you improve your own communication skills, your openness, and your honesty. You cannot have a healthy relationship unless you're open and honest in communication. If you shut down at the sign of conflict, you shut down at the sign of someone telling you how they feel, you condescend them or you belittle them, then you've got your shit to work on before you even get into a relationship. You need to change that, right? If you're closed off, it's no good. You can't have a healthy, open, honest relationship if you're not being that way yourself. So you've got work to do. Otherwise, you'll end up with a person who replicates you, basically. If you shut down, they'll most likely shut down as well. And you'll end up not speaking to each other, and you'll end up with conflicts unresolved. And eventually the relationship would just dissolve. It's not sustainable over a long period of time. And if you do sustain it, it'll become very hard, rocky road. You'll be up and down, it'll be traumatic, and then you'll be back in a therapist's office, or not even a therapist. You'll be struggling on your own, pretending you don't need a therapist because blah, 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 all these excuses, and you won't be dealing with your trauma. So you need to be dealing with your own shit, right? Openness is a healthy quality. Honesty is a healthy quality. Trying to resolve conflicts in a unconfrontational way is healthy. So if you feel that someone has done you wrong, or that something's difficult for you, or you're not getting what you want from a relationship, you need to talk to the person saying, this is how I feel. When you did this behavior, I feel like this, I feel like that. That's down the road, right? But you need to get it sorted on the good path to begin with. If they've got an age discrepancy, I don't even go there. Could be by 1 year. I'm not really 23, I'm 24. Well, then your profile bio's lying. Either you're lying or your bio's lying. But if your bio's lying, you're a liar anyway. You're 1 year out. You're a liar. You might be telling the truth by saying, well, I'm actually 24. So why does it say 23 on there? Why did you set up your Baidu profile then when it says 23? Do you know what I mean? And if it's Facebook dating, a lot of the time Facebook, well, usually always takes the date of their birth certificate age from their Facebook profile, which means if they join Facebook underage, which is deception and lying, then they will have a different age to what they actually are. Now, maybe your standard is you don't care if they've just told a lie about their age. And then I would ask you, well, what else are they lying about? What else are they going to lie to you about? Right? So the choice is yours, but don't accept rubbish. As soon as you accept one lie, you accept a bunch of them, right? So this is the approach stage. So like I said, you can use things in their bio, their pictures, their hobbies, their interests to instigate conversations. And don't forget to use the what, where, when, how, and why, basically. Like, why are you on this dating site? What brought you to this dating site? You know, like, how would the ideal date look for you? What would it entail? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, in your career, in your life? Where will you live? What's your ideal relationship looking like? You know, oh, I love that picture of you. That cat, is that cat yours, or is that cat like a friend's or neighbor's or something? Like, it's so cute. Where did you get that jacket from? That jacket looks amazing on you. Oh, I really love your smile. I love you in that photograph. You look so natural. Tell me where that beach is in your photograph. Now, something I really loved about your profile was that you were very open and honest about the type of relationship you were looking for. Like, you wrote a good amount in there, and I really was impressed by your bio. I really loved the fact that you cherish honesty, that you believe in good communication, and that you like regular contact, because I love regular contact myself. So when you say regular contact, like, how much contact would be regular for you? Like, what would you be your ideal amount, for example, dating or in a relationship? You know, you're opening conversation, you're speaking to a person, right? In a lot of ways, you're speaking to someone like you know them a bit, you know? But you're picking things out of their profile. Okay, hobbies, interests, things they've written, like statistics about themselves, like what star sign they are, height, you know, all this type of thing, where they want kids, where they drink socially or not, whether they're a non-drinker. You can pick all this stuff out, you know, scenery, backgrounds, all this type of thing, right? Then to continue the conversation, you need to be continuing, as in they should be saying something to you back, then you say something to them back. It's a two-way thing. Every scenario should be two ways. Now, if you end up writing more, a lot more than the other person does, that person's not really into you, right? They're usually not that into you. They could be shy, they could have some social anxiety themselves, they could find things difficult. But a lot of the time, it's because they're not that interested in you and they're giving you the minimal amount of conversation they can. Now, obviously, at the beginning of a conversation, when you're just getting into conversation, you wouldn't be giving lines and lines of text usually, but it depends what they've asked you, what questions they've asked you, right? Because if they should be asking questions about you, you should be asking questions about them to keep the conversation going. And you should also be sharing a bit of your life with them, and they should be sharing a bit of their life with you. This is like healthy communication. So if someone says, "How's your day gone?" you could just say, "Fine, thanks." So if you're not really that interested in them, you'd say, "Fine, thanks." That would be an unconversation starter, and you know, you couldn't really go much place with that conversation. You can't really carry on a conversation very easily. So if someone's asked how your day's gone, give them something like, "Oh yeah, I went and got my hair done today. Really pleased with that, actually." Like, you know, you could ask them like, what type of hair color? Are you into a specific hair color for a relationship or dating, you know, whatever you want. You know, you could make a conversation, or you could say, "Yeah, I went to the hairdresser today, then I had a coffee with my friend. It was really good. How's your day been?" Like a perfect scenario. Tell them a bit about your day. How's your day been? Then it allows them to open up and say how their day's been. And if they say, "Oh, I had a really tough day. I went into work today and my boss like yelled at me," then you can say, "Oh my gosh, that's really terrible. Like, did you wanna tell me about that? Did you wanna, like, vent about that?" Or, you know, like, or you could ask them a question about the job, like, "Oh, so what job do you do then?" If it's not in their profile bio. Or, "I see in your bio that you're doing such and such a job. Do you wanna tell me a bit more about that? Like, tell me, like, is there anything good you actually like about your work?" And they might say, "Oh, yeah, I was just having an off day, and that my you know, and my boss just yelled at me because I forgot to do something, and I don't usually forget that." And you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that really sucks. I'm sorry that happened to you." And you know, like, you know, you could say something like, "Oh, so what do you do to relax, you know, especially if you've had a stressful day?" So you like continue a conversation. So when you continue a conversation, you have to look for things they've said in their answers to then pick out from that and continue the conversation based on their answers. So whatever they've answered, you expand on it. But the problem is, why conversations come to a halt is because people do not continue back and forth dialogue. They give like one word answers or a couple of word answers, and they don't ask the other person a question. So you should be answering their questions and asking another open question for the other person to continue conversation. If you don't want to continue the conversation, want a quick way of shutting it down, if you're fearful about blocking or dismissing or getting rid of or whatever, you just do a few short answers, and then the person will get bored with you anyway, usually, and go. But why waste each other's time? Just be honest, you know. So if you want to stop a conversation and you've had pleasantries, it's a good interaction. Just because you've had a good interaction doesn't mean to say that you're suitable for a relationship or dating scenario. it was a good interaction. That's all it was. It's a pleasant, it's nice. I had one with a guy from a band the other day on Badoo. In the end, he's, deleted me off conversations with him because we're not suitable. He wants kids in the future and I don't. Right. But it was a nice, pleasant conversation. He was asking me about asexuality, was interested in what I do. He was really complimentary about the work I do for asexuals and how much I help asexuals. And he was he was just really nice. He was very open, very honest, very friendly, very approachable, and it was a good interaction on Badoo. It's one of the best, if not the best, I've ever had on there. Such a lovely guy. And he was only 19, which I was shocked. He's more like acts like 27, and his talk is really interesting. So just because someone's really young doesn't mean to say they're immature. It really pees me off when everyone thinks, oh, you like younger guys, Sandra, so they're all immature. It's like, no, there's guys who are 50 years old who are immature. Just go and look on the trains. Like, it was Saturday night tonight. I was actually with my best friend for once because I've been poorly and haven't been able to see them in person socially for a while. Last time they saw me in person was they got food for me, but I couldn't actually mix with them. They had to take it up and down the stairs in my shopping trolley and leave it outside my door for me, and I had to disinfect all the shopping trolley. I couldn't actually see them in person because I was too poorly. So I don't want to make them poorly, but it's the first time we've had time to actually spend with each other. And when my best friend went back on the train, it was really rowdy. It was full of people, drugs and drink and stuff, which isn't good. I've digressed a little bit, but also, obviously, if you're not into drugs, I'm not into drugs at all. If you see anyone on a dating site saying 420 friendly, it usually means they're into drugs and they're, friendly to do drugs with you. Some people on their profiles actually put they want a smoking buddy. Usually means drugs, right? So watch out for these, If someone just wants a buddy to travel with, don't think they want more. Don't read more into it than they're saying. If they say they just want to date, think hook up, usually. Right? That's what most people want to date and nothing else. They don't want commitment. Right? Someone who wants a relationship in theory should want commitment. But like I said earlier, check out, does it say relationship? And then what else does it say? A person who's serious about relationship will usually tell you some background information. Will usually say something like, these are the pros of me, these are the cons of me. This is what I'm looking for. Or, they'll at least give a sentence saying, I am looking for a serious relationship. I want to settle down. I've been single now for like 5 years, and I think it's time I found a good person for me, or something like that. They'll give a little bit more. But if they're saying they're ready for a relationship, but they're not giving anything in the profile to suggest that that's true, then it's likely a load of rubbish. And some of them say they're interested in a relationship, but then they're talking in the bio the opposite, saying, I'm looking for something casual. I'm looking for a hookup, nothing serious. You also get some people in their bio that say, oh, people are never replying to me. Like, message me if you're genuine. I only want genuine people, not time wasters. Then they'll put in their bio, I'm not interested in anything serious. I just want to hook up. Well, if you just want to hook up and you're not serious, you're not going to get people who are serious in your inbox, then are you? You're going to get time wasters because you're wasting other people's time because you just want to hook up. You just want to fling. You're not even serious. So you're getting what you ask for. And if people are not in your inbox because you want to waste people's time just by having a hookup and not having anything serious, then you get what you asked for, don't you? You know what I mean? It's so obvious. These people are going, don't waste my time if you're not serious. But they're not serious and they're up for wasting people's time. So they're doing to other people what they say they don't want done to them, right? So don't expect a result if you're basically saying that's not what you want. If you want a serious committed relationship, then you have to actually act and be that person in all seriousness who wants a serious committed relationship. You can't say you want an actual relationship if you're not prepared to commit to one. If you want something casual, then expect casual people in your inbox. If you want to hook up, expect hookup people in your inbox. If you just want to date, expect just dates in your inbox. Dates are usually the majority of the time people who hook up on a lot of these dating sites. However, usually you do have to date someone before you find out if they're right for you or not. So the people who are on dating sites looking for a serious relationship, you would still date them before deciding whether they're serious for a relationship or not, and they're suitable for you in a serious relationship with you. But if all they say is open to dating And that's basically all they've got. They haven't got anything about what they're interested in or anything. They're just not serious. Open to chat can mean I'm married, but I want some side chat. I'm in a relationship, but I want some side chat. I want someone to stroke my ego. I'm bored, so I want to chat. I like to chat sexy talk, so yeah, I'm open to chat. I want to pass the time, so I'm open to chat. I just want to see what's out there, so I'm open to chat. I'm non-committal, so I'm open to chat. I have an avoidant personality type, so I don't want to get involved with someone, so I'm just open to chat. All of these reasons could be why someone's just open for chat. So you want to go through on the dating websites and apps to see what they're actually interested in. If someone, for example, on Facebook dating has put, I'm looking for a serious relationship and friendship, that would be a good sign. If someone says, I'm looking for a serious relationship or casual relationship, that's a bad sign because there's two contradictory things there. See what I mean? So you've got to look at what they're saying in their bio before you approach. And then if you want to continue the conversation, you need to keep it going by asking a question back. And, you know, if you're asking someone a question and they're not answering the question, they're ignoring it, they're not serious. They don't want to commit. They don't want to be open and honest with you. They don't want an effective communication. They don't actually really want you to get to know them because they're hiding stuff. They're secret. They want one over on you because some online dating relationships, can start online and they can end up toxic very quickly. So what you want to be doing, right, if you want to go through to the next stage of dating, you have a video date first. Why do you do this? Because you do not want to waste your time with someone in person if they're not the right person for you. Right? This is if you're interested in taking it further. You have a video date before you meet up with them in person. You do not want to waste your time, effort, and energy traveling for someone. Plus, they might not be who they say they are. Some of them put pictures on their profile from when they were very early 20s, but really they're like 35 years old or something, and they've completely changed. Some of them put pictures on there where they've got clean shaven and the boy next door look, and they're really like 20 years older. They've got tattoos, they've got really like long straggly hair, they've got a long straggly beard, and they've changed their whole look, right? So you want to be video dating with them. Why is this important? Because not only can you see if they match their profile picture, you can see what they're like when you talk to them. How do they hold your attention? How are you holding their attention? Are they actually looking directly at you, or are they being dodgy, looking around and not really paying attention to you? Are they not looking in your eyes? Are they not listening to you? Are they busy doing something else while you're trying to talk to them? When you talk to them, are they abrupt with you? Do they do they show empathy for you? If you said something that's a difficult situation you've been through, do they brush over it and start talking about when are you going to meet up in person? Like, your feelings don't matter. It's more important that they get hold of your body on a date. Because if you get into conversation and you say something that's upsetting you, a good person, an empathetic person, which is what you want, will be saying stuff like, I'm really sorry to hear this. You know, they might say, if you want to talk about it, that's fine. Or they just at least say, I'm really sorry to hear this. I'm sorry you're going through a difficult time. I'm sorry you have to do this. It must sound really, sounds really stressful for you. It sounds really difficult for you. That sucks. You know, they would show empathy for you. But if you are saying, look, sometimes I've said, look, I'm poorly at the moment, and they'll just completely ignore it. Oh, so can you add me on Snapchat then? Can you add me on WhatsApp? It's like, hang on a minute. I've just said I'm poorly. You have total disrespect for my feelings of being sick. And all you want to do is continue on chatting to me. And a lot of the time I don't have WhatsApp, and I purposely don't want it because I get all the sexual guys wanting. All they do is get you off the app onto their WhatsApp so they can chat loads of women up. You don't want that usually. That's what they're after, you know? You don't want that. Right? You want someone who you can actually see as well on a profile. So sorry, I had to move my leg then. So basically, you want to be seeing their social media, right? So you want to see some of them on Instagram or Facebook. So if they try and get you off the app, say I'd like to connect with you on Facebook or Instagram, or I'd like to see your Facebook and Instagram because I like to see you're a genuine person. If they've got a problem with that and they don't like it, they're not open and honest, then it's bye, isn't it? It's like, well, I haven't got Facebook. The majority of people have got Facebook. If they ain't got Facebook, they've usually got Instagram, right? And the amount of people I see on Badoo add my Snap. It's like, who the hell do you think you are? You think I'm just going to be so bored out of my brain that I've got nothing better to do than add you on Snapchat because you can't be asked to talk to me. If you can't be asked to talk to me on a dating site, then you can't be asked to have a good relationship with me. And you're literally, like wasting my time. Do not bother with people who are just like this. If they're not actually physically, spending time on the dating app, you could argue, yeah, well, it's a good sign they're not on the dating app that much. But a person who's not on the dating app that much still will not be saying add my Snap unless all they're interested in is collecting people. Do you not see they're putting this to everyone on the dating site and liking multiple people? Add my Snapchat or add my Instagram. You add them and they're just literally talking to loads of women. You want someone who's very intentional, says, I'm looking for a relationship. I haven't found that special someone yet. I'm hoping that maybe you reading this might be the one. And, I'm interested. I've traveled to blah, blah, blah countries. I'm interested in cooking, photography. I like going on safari park adventures as well. I'm also into Marvel movies. I like the outdoors more than the indoors. I like pubbing over clubbing, this type of thing. They'll give more details about themselves. Right? So it's harder when you've got less details. I'm not saying you don't have to talk to them at all, but just bear in mind that a lot of the people that give less details, they have more to hide. They're not being so open and honest, and they're not going to be so good for a relationship. And the least they've got in the profile, the more likely they are having an affair, they're cheating on their partner, and they're just wasting your frigging time. Right? But if you find someone you do connect with, make sure they've read your bio. It's no good you carrying on a conversation, they don't even know that you're asexual because they haven't read your bio. The amount of people, guys, that do not read my bio, I could be in conversation with them for a little while. I have done it. So I haven't actually asked about, have you seen my bio straight away, right? And I have a bit of conversation. And then I'm like, they say something to me. Like I had a guy the other day, British guy actually, in my city. So he said hi, and then he was putting hi, kiss, kiss. And I'm like, hi. One word is not good in a message. And then he was saying something to me like, you're beautiful. And I'm like, thanks. And they'll put like kiss, kiss. And then he starts saying, you're sexy. And I'm like, I don't think you've read my bio because obviously if I'm not interested in sex, someone calling me sexy is not really appropriate. And then as soon as I said that, he stopped talking to me. Why? Because I'm asexual. He hasn't even read my bio. So the majority of people, unfortunately, are just swiping. They don't care. Right? On Badoo, it actually says swipe 50 people to find your match. Like swipe right for 50 people to find your match. In other words, like 50 people before you find a match. This is absolutely ridiculous. So they're encouraging people to mass like, and they think they're a good quality app. They think they're great. I mean, I'm grateful I'm on there. I'm grateful they gave me a premium subscription for free, right? So I stay on it. But the majority of time, it's not good, right? And they say they're making improvements, having better quality people on there. There's no improvements. If they think swiping 50 times right and liking 50 people to get a match is going to get a match, it's not. It's just going to, you're basically just, I know what they're saying, that finding a match is a numbers game, which it is really. So the more people you talk to, the more chance you have of actually meeting the match. That's where they're coming from with that. But at the same time, it's instilling a culture where it's basically saying, just swipe anyone and everyone that you like the look of with their profile picture first, and that's it. It's very, how can I put it? Very, it's a bit, it's a bit like materialistic. How can I put it? Like, when someone just likes you for your looks, it's not really, that they're truly into you. You know what I mean? It's I get guys liking me all the time for my looks, which is lovely, right? But it's kind of like, and then the sad reality is the majority aren't suitable for a relationship at all because they're just liking a photograph of a pretty girl and that's it, right? That's not a relationship. Anyone can like pretty looks. Guys who are often good looking are the ones that are likely to cheat more, unfortunately. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. right? So if they haven't seen you're asexual, you need to point that out to them. And sometimes you might not even know without pointing out. So just say, have you read my bio? Don't spend 3 months of your life talking to them, or a whole week of talking to them, without establishing that you're definitely asexual. Because if they're like, oh, I see you don't like sex, for example, if you're an asexual sex repulsed, oh, that's no good for me, I need sex. You just say, all right, I understand, thanks, bye. That's it. If a guy needs sex and I don't want it, I block him usually. I delete or block him on Facebook dating, for example. Delete or block on, usually block, because they're no suitable for me, right? You need to be thinking filter out. The more you filter out the rubbish, the people that are no good for you, the better opportunities you've got for having people come in to your inbox, or liking you and making space in your life for them. Don't, if some guy's like, oh, but we can be friends, don't bother. Right? They don't really want to be your friends. It's just a polite thing they say a lot of the time, and they want a connection with you because they think you'll change your mind, or they think that they're just being polite, right? You don't need this in your life. You need to get used to the fact that it's okay on dating apps and dating sites to speak to people, to block people, to delete people, to reject people, and it's okay for them to delete, block, and reject you. It's a normal part of filtering process. The more you do it, the more you'll get resilient to being rejected, and you'll be fine with being blocked and deleted. You won't think anything of it. You'll just think, well, this is great. This is part of the process. It's like when you interview someone for a job. If they're no good, you don't turn around and say, well, I tell you what, you can still work here anyway, right? You can still work here anyway, and hang around for a bit. You don't, because it's a waste of your time. It's waste of their time. You don't have the resources, time, energy, and effort to give to someone else when you've already chosen someone, or you're in the process of still looking for other applications. You say sorry, you reject them, right? So you've got to get used to that. So when you need to stop someone, like I said, from a conversation, depends if you've had a nice time talking to them or not. If you've had a good conversation, but they just not suitable, you'll just say, look, we're not going to be suitable, but I appreciate the chat. It's been really lovely to talk to you, and I wish you well. This is the type of thing you have to do. Words to this effect. So what is it? Again, message them. Oh, I see that we're not going to be suitable after all. Really love chatting to you, and I wish you the best of luck. Find the right person for you. Allow them to see that. Give them a little bit of time. Then delete the conversation or block them. Because the reason you block them rather than delete them, even if you've had a nice conversation sometimes, is they can come back and pop up again sometimes. Usually on Facebook dating, you have to block them, for example. Otherwise, they just come back again like a boomerang, and you forget if you talk to them. You're like, oh, did I talk to you before? Yes. And oh, right. And what happened? Like, I'm asexual. Guess you like sex, yeah, and I don't like sex, yeah. Oh, we have to move on again, But if you block someone, they can't get back in touch with you, so they don't usually come back in your inbox again, unless there's a malfunction in the app, which can sometimes happen, I think. But basically, if you delete someone on Facebook dating, I think they can come back eventually again. But you're not supposed to. It's a deactivated conversation. But I think it's happened before. And if you block someone, then usually they can't come back. With Badoo, if you don't block someone can reactivate the conversation again, the same conversation. So you have to make sure that you get to know the website or dating app you're on, how to use it, whether you can send crushes for free, likes for free. Because on Badoo, for example, you usually have to pay for crushes, pay for likes, right? On Facebook dating, you can just go in the app and you can just start talking, and you can use emojis and stuff like you would do through normal Facebook Messenger. Usually they have a video thing, for example, on Badoo and Facebook dating within the app where you can video call them. Sometimes it doesn't always work very well though. But so, if you're having a video date, do it though. It's free. You can see people in their own home environment, how they behave, if they're reliable, if they're trustworthy, if they're open and honest. If they can't even be bothered to turn up to a video date, you don't want to trust them turning up for actual real date with you. Don't even give them that option, right? So if you decide partway through the date that you're not suitable, even a video date, just say, oh, I'm not looking for that. It's been nice to talk to you, but we're really not suitable. That's harder, actually. It's harder to say goodbye to someone in an actual video date than it is to message. So some people message afterwards. They leave the conversation saying they got to go, and then they message afterwards saying, like, I had a video date with you. I appreciate the date, but we're really not suitable. I thought about it and we're not suitable, Give yourself that space if you need it. Give yourself that grace and that time if you can't say it on the actual video date afterwards, but don't keep the person hanging on, right? It's good to have good interactions. What you're doing is you're improving your social skills on a dating app or dating website, and you're also improving your communication skills, and you're improving what type of questions you ask people, how to keep conversations going, all this type of things. These are all good, useful skills that you can use in other aspects of your life, like sales, for example. If you work in a retail store, customer service, for example, you can actually use these in jobs. So use dating sites to practice this type of thing, right? But if you want to find a relationship, you need to find someone who loves you for who you are and who cares about you, doesn't just want your body. If you start saying stuff about yourself and it puts them off, good. On Facebook dating the other day, the guy was like being nice and empathetic about the fact I was poorly. Then he was asking me what's wrong. Do I have a disability? So I said, yeah, I have 2 disabilities, but I also have this, and this wrong with me. And it put him off me, but I don't care because I think he was a charmer. When he came in, he said, oh, are you an angel or a queen? Because I've never seen someone as beautiful as you before, or something rubbish like that. I was like, oh, that's an interesting chat line. It's a chat line, and a guy's a charmer. That is a red flag for possible narcissistic behavior, but it could also just be flirting and harmless flirting. That he's basically like using charm. So narcissists are charmers. So you just have to clock that one if they're being like that. But some people can just be flirting and romantic doing stuff like that, right? Maybe. So it might not be anything narcissistic at all. It might be fine. It might just be flirting, and that's the way they like to, you know, speak and open conversations up with a flirty thing, right? But remember, they're probably doing that with a lot of people. If I've got guys talking to me in the inbox, but I still see he's online from the dating app for ages, I know he's talking to loads of other women. So therefore, it puts me off him. I'm like, well, if you just there talking to loads of women for hours, then clearly you're after other women as well. I'm not interested. Why do I want to be one of a bunch of women when I could actually be the woman? It's just pointless to me a lot of the time. But, everyone does need to like date and test people out. They can't just like say you're the one definitely straight away, because you need to give each other time. And if a person is rushing you into doing sexual things with them, they're rushing you into a date, usually it's because they want to just have a quick thing with you, whether that's a fling with you, whether that's a hookup, which often that is on their mind with you, or whether it's just a quick date. Like sometimes in the past I've had guys who want a kissing hookup with me scenario. It's like, I'm really not interested, but it's horrible. They do that. So beware of all this stuff, right? End the conversation politely. If they've got no reason or giving you no reason to not like them, you can say, hey, look, I've noticed we're not suitable. If they haven't spoke to you for a few days, just get rid of them, delete or block them. Usually I would expect someone to reply, ideally within 24 hours or 48 hours, unless they're on holiday, that's different. But within 48 hours, if someone doesn't reply within 48 hours, they're usually not that interested. I would argue most of the time if they don't reply within 24 hours, they're not interested. But if they haven't replied to you for like 4 days, then usually it's you need to get rid, especially if they haven't said, look, my work gets really busy, so I can only talk at such and such a times. I would like think that if they like you that much, they would talk to you anyway. Alessandro Farsi. Oh, hello. I don't think I've seen you for a while. I remember you came on in chat a long time ago, didn't you? So yeah, just having water. So yeah, so if you need to stop a conversation, think how the conversation went. If they've already stopped it and they haven't spoke to you from some days, you don't owe them an explanation. You can just block or delete them. If you found out they're not suitable for you, then you can just say, look, I've had a great conversation with you. I've loved talking to you, but we're not going to be suitable, right? The sooner you sift out the people that are unsuitable for you, the sooner you can move on and stop wasting your time. Get into the habit of thinking that dating is a sifting process. It's a filtering process. You want to filter out all the people that are wrong for you, that are not suitable for you, and just hone in on the people or person that might be good for you, that might be right for you. When you've got a person you think that might be good to be in a relationship with, possibly, you then progress to the dating stage. How do you ask for a date? You literally say to them, hey, we've been chatting a while now. I think we get on well, and let's have a video date. I think, like, would you be, or would you know, or I'd like to have a video date with you. When would be a good time for you to have a video date? Because remember what I said, we always should go for video dating first. So just ask outright, ask them for a date. So I'd like a video date with you because I think we got on really well, And I think it'd be a great opportunity to find out more about each other. How do you feel about that? Don't assume they're going to want it. Say, how would you feel about that? Or I've been thinking it might be nice to have a video date. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, a long time ago, Alexandro. I love it when people come back on my show. Amazing. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everyone who's been watching tonight as well. So have we got those 3 stages clear now? Because I've been streaming for over an hour now. So first stage is of approach. To recap then, first stage with approaching is to use something in their bio, from their profile picture, in their statistics, if you like, about themselves. Their, like the height or their hobbies or their interests. You can use some attribute of them, star sign, height, non-smoker, doesn't want kids, interested in a relationship, interested in having kids. You can use these type of things. Either they will be deal breakers for you and you'll be like, I don't want kids, they want kids in the future. Pointless. It's pointless spending 4 hours of your life, 4 years of your life, for example, with someone when you knew they wanted kids and you don't want them. Don't get involved with someone like that, right? If that's the scenario. Right, so look at their bio. Any deal breakers, anything that you're not compatible with, it's a no for you. You move on. You don't go there, even if they've liked you. You can even say to them, look, we're not suitable. But usually they might try and change your mind then on purpose because they might be that desperate for a date or relationship, right? Which is not good. You don't want them to tell you what you want to hear for the sake of it. So things I said about conversation starters, what, when, where, how, and why. So pick something out of their photographs, pick something out of their hobbies, their interests, if they're interested in Marvel. Great. I see you love Marvel. Me too. What's your favorite Marvel character? I see that you are on a beach. Like, where is that beach in that photograph? I'm interested, See you like scuba diving? Me too. I love scuba diving. I went scuba diving, blah, blah, blah. Where is that photograph taken? Oh, I see you love traveling. Like, what's your travel plans for the next year? I see you do a job as a plasterer. Like, what do you love about plastering? I see that you play video games. What's your favorite video game? You get into conversation by asking all these questions, or open questions where they can answer you, not yes or no answer. Like, do you like black or white? I like black. These are one word answers back. You need to ask open questions so it leads them to be able to give you a good response. Then the continuation, you ask a question, you share something about your life or day with them. They ask you a question, and you share, and they should share something about their life and day. If they don't, you can say, hey, how was your day? Right? And then, and then you can remember what they said from the previous day and you can ask them again. But you shouldn't be doing all the asking. If you're the only one leading the conversation, if you're the one that's writing more messages, longer messages, and instigating all the messages, they're not that interested in you. Should be equal amount to a certain extent. But, they might message you a bit more before, then you might start messaging a bit more. But if they're just leaving you a few lines of text or few message or short message, and you're leaving a lot of lines, then that's uneven. They're not really interested in you. You're more interested in them, right? So you need to then move on. If they're not replying back to you within 48 hours, that's a huge question mark. Say they're not really interested in you. 3 days, really probably not interested in you very much at all. 4 days, I'd probably just delete them, block them, get rid of them. If they're not replying, you don't want someone like that. You want someone reliable who'll get back to you as soon as possible, right? So if you've enjoyed the conversation, not suitable, you can say, love to chat to you, but we're clearly not suitable. It's a shame, really. Wish you the best of luck. If you get someone being rude to you in their inbox, block them. If you get someone's like, oh, you can, if you have sex with me, then you won't be asexual anymore, block them. That's rude and disgusting. If you get someone who doesn't understand asexuality and they don't even want to understand it, then just block them. I had a guy who said, oh, that's just a friendship. I'm like, what's just a friendship? Then he just put a sign with like some person hunching their shoulders up like they don't know what they're talking about. And so I just blocked him. What's the point in having someone like that? He can't even say, oh, that, he can't even tell me what he's talking about, which I knew was probably asexuality. When I said about, have you seen my bio that I'm asexual? And he's like, oh, that's just a friendship. Or you're just looking for a friend. I can't be bothered to explain to him that it's not just a friendship. And if he's ignorant about asexuality and that's all he sees it as, then he's not the right guy for me. So you've got to have someone who's accepting of your asexuality for the long haul, not just a short term, not just a hookup, not just a night. If you're looking for a serious relationship, you've got to have someone that says they accept your bio and can prove they genuinely accept it. If they say they accept it, but in the conversation it gets more sexual, they start asking you what sexual stuff you'll do for them, it really isn't true that they accept it at all. And, ask them, like, how would you live without sex? If they're a heterosexual person, like, how would you live without sex? Like, what would you do if we were together? How would you cope? And they might eventually say, look, I don't actually think I can. I'm really sorry to have wasted your time. Because you need to ask them these questions. Like, if they say, well, I'm not interested in sex either, I say, well, why? Most people are interested in sex, aren't they? Because you want to see if they're genuinely not interested in sex. A lot of people just lie about it. Obviously, if they've got asexual in their profile, something that seems more asexual, like an asexual would say, then you can tend to believe them more. But usually, you question them, say, okay, like, if we get into a relationship, for example, and I don't like sex and I'm assuming you do, like, how would that work? Then they might say, oh, well, would you be open to me having sex with other people? That's what some guy asked me. I'm like, no, blocked. Um, or well, I could go without sex for like 3 or 4 months, but after that I'd want it. I had a guy there and he was on Facebook dating. Oh, well, we cannot have sex if you don't want, but I do want it sometimes. I'm like, well, we're not suitable then. Bye. Plug. You know what I mean? So you have to do all this type of thing, right? But just know at the end of the day, it's most important that you're happy and healthy and that you love yourself, whether you get into a relationship or not, when you find the right person or not. Treat dating more like a sifting process, a filtering process for finding out if a person's going to be suitable for a relationship for you or not. A lot of the time, they won't be if you're asexual and it's a non-asexual predominant dating site. If it's an asexual dating site, you've got more chance. But remember, if you are getting into a relationship with another asexual and they're in another country, unless they've got the actual money to come over to your country, means of getting over to your country by visa, or you're going to basically help them out with that, then it's not going to be feasible. Doesn't matter if they say, oh, well, I really want to be with you, or want is not the same as being able to actually do it. I get loads of Indian guys going, oh, oh, I can get into a relationship with you, then I can come over to your country, but they can't do it. They can't get a visa. They don't have enough money to come to the UK. They don't have like the £21,000 or whatever it is to pay for 1 year of a course at extra uni plus the next 2 years. They don't have the money to pay for accommodation unless their mummy and daddy pays for it. Then they don't have it, you know what I mean? Or however much money their course is, right? They don't have thousands of pounds. They haven't got the money to do it. It's just a hope and a wish. Then you get emotionally hooked on them, and then you're both upset because they're always saying, "Oh, I will come over," and you're saying, "Oh, great, but when?" And then never happens, right? If someone wants to come and move, they should do that usually within a year. You don't want to be waiting longer than that. It's not good for you, right? And I would say don't get involved with someone unless you know for definite they can get their own visa of their own accord and have the money and means to leave. Because even if they say they can leave, they might not actually want to leave their family, their friends, their home. After all that, even if they say they love you, they might be torn between them and you in the end. I had it with a guy years ago. He decided he wanted to stay where he was with his family and friends and not come over to the UK after all. And when I met him, he told me he didn't even want to stay in America. He wanted to move to a European country. He'd already made his mind up. And then after he met me, it was like he definitely wants to stay with his parents. It was a bizarre, weird situation. But anyway, very disappointing, very heartbreaking. And I don't want to go through that ever again. So I would urge you not to go through it as well. But usually an asexual will have to move for a relationship. So if you can't move, you'll have to find someone who can move to be near you or with you, right? So have they got the means to move? Is their job flexible? Find this out, right? If you're thinking about long distance, find it out. Say, hey, like, how are you going to find a job over here? Oh, I'll find one. How? What sites are you going to use? How are you going to approach? I've had Indian guys going, oh, I'll get a job in the UK. I'm like, how? How are you going to do it? And then they expect me to help them. They don't really want to bother, you know? It's just they want me to do the work for them and they don't actually want to move. It's just because they want to keep me hooked on them thinking that they can be with me romantically, whereas really they've got no intention of ever doing that. It's like an emotional trauma bond or whatever, or toxic bond, or just an emotional bond to keep you hooked because they like that for their ego or whatever, because it makes them feel good about themselves, you know? You don't want to be doing that, you know? And so, but usually, if you're an asexual person, you're not going to be able to find the right person for you on your doorstep. If you want to be with another asexual only, definitely not heterosexual, and you just want to definitely be with another asexual, you're either going to have to move or find someone who'll move to you. This is the reality of the situation, right? So always, always think about what you want before you go on a dating site. What's your objective? How do you see a relationship working out? Do you want to live together? Do you want marriage? Do you want kids? Are you an asexual who's sex positive, or you're asexual who's sex repulsed or neutral? Like what does a relationship look like to you? How would that work? And if you get into a relationship with a sexual person, how is that going to work for you? How are you going to deal with the fact that they get sexually attracted to you, that they might get hard over you, that they might want to masturbate in front of you? You know, is masturbation in front of you off the table? Is masturbation at all for them off the table for you? You know, do they watch porn, and are you okay with that or not? You know, all these things you have to think about before you even go on dating apps or dating websites. You know, and don't be afraid to end conversations if someone's not right for you. You don't need to stay friends with them. You don't need to feel guilty about deleting them or blocking them. You can end the connection amicably, right? Anyway, I hope you found these tips and information and education useful, helpful, insightful. If you have any way, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for all your asexual dating, relationship, life, love, whatever needs you have, entertainment as well, lifestyle videos. It's all here on Asexualise, My Asexual Life. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to always stay ace. Give this video a thumbs up. And thanks to Alexandro for being in the chat tonight. Lots of love to you and everyone else. I'll see you soon next video live stream. Thank you. Bye.